Hey guys, I'm Angela and welcome to Hobby Night. And as we are now in the spookiest month, October, I thought we should go ahead and talk about the scariest, the most terrifying, the most horrifying thing in all of hobby, the pile of shame. Specifically, my pile of shame, and maybe talk a little bit about how I got into this hobby in the first place. So join me as we take a look at all of the unpainted plastic that I have. So, here are the two armies that I have unpainted, my piles of shame. And we're gonna start by taking a look at my Crimson Fists, because these guys, these lovely boys, were my first army. So let me give a little bit of context for this. I got into 40k when I was in college. I believe it was, I was shown it first when 4th edition was ending, but I didn't actually start playing until 5th edition. So 5th edition was my first rule set. And I got Space Marines because they were easy. There was a lot of information out there for them. So it made it seem easier for me to approach the game because it was nothing I'd ever experienced before. I had done a little bit of tabletop gaming with some board games. I had done a smidge of like RPGs, and I played a lot of games online, but I had not actually experienced much with tabletop gaming much, and 40k was actually one of my first experiences with it. So I chose Space Marines, played Ultramarines actually for a little bit if I recall correctly, because they were definitely the easiest to find the most information on, and the Space Marine Codex really focused on them. So it was just a very good introductory thing, but I didn't really like their color palette, and I wanted to do something a bit less generic at that time because that's just what I wanted to do. So I decided, I looked through the codex, was reading through some things, was very interested in Blood Angels, thought the Space Wolves were really cool, Dark Angels were really cool, but the club that I was playing in had a couple of those factions already, and I didn't want to overlap too much with that, so no one was playing Imperial Fists, but I didn't want to paint my army yellow because I knew yellow painting was really difficult. It's still kind of difficult, although we do have a lot more techniques and everything to make it a lot easier. But I didn't want to go with a yellow army in the beginning. So I gravitated towards the Crimson Fist. I liked them thematically, like the color really appealed to me. I thought they were interesting. You got enough still like models specific to them. We got Pedro Cantor and everything like that, which I did end up picking up. I think he's in here somewhere, possibly unbuilt, I don't actually remember. But I got all of those, and I really went heavy with Crimson Fists, and I ended up doing like a veteran build with like veteran Space Marines coming in with drop pods, and I think I ran Terminators with them. So as you can see, I've got a number of Unpainted Terminators here. There's like a whole bunch in this box that are just, this one isn't one of the trays that has it, but there's a whole bunch that are just off of their bases and have missing arms, as many of these guys do as well. Actually, here's one that's off his base. So like I have a lot of unassembled, unpainted gray masses in this box, as well as I think there may be like a couple of other tanks or something somewhere that are also unpainted that were originally for this army. And the drop pods, I believe, are broken and are going to be used for terrain. So I actually think they're in the terrain box, which you may have seen in one of my terrain painting videos. So I've got these guys. They were a blast to use. I ran them for several years, but then after a certain point when 6th edition, I think, hit, between just getting out of college, moving, getting started with life and everything, my husband and I, we just stopped playing, like both of us. We stopped playing completely, and then eventually, Death Guard in 8th edition came into my life, and my interest for 40k was completely revitalized. I got super into it. I went all in on the Death Guard, bought like the starter sets. I think I got one of each of the 8th edition starter sets. I may have even picked up like 2 of one of them because I have problems. I got a bunch of other kits. I have so many like unpainted Terminators, as well as just Plague Marines. And if you guys have been following this channel for any length of time, you've probably seen me work on part of this army. I've painted my Poxwalkers. I think I chronicled that a little bit with some of my early vlogging. We also showed off painting some of my Plague Marines and everything. I've done a couple characters on the channel for painting videos. So these guys you've actually seen me working on, but there's still a ton to do. I have Mortarion. This case has a number of things in it. I'm not going to open it up or anything because I just don't want to knock anything over, but there's plenty of minis still in here. I think I have like 3 or 4 unpainted drones. I still have that other Blight Hauler that I'm working on that I've been sharing on Instagram and stuff. And of course there's that new Death Guard mini that's coming out soon, whenever that will happen. So there will be an addition to this pile, but I really just gravitated towards these guys. And because of just one, the sculpts were so much more detailed than what we got, back in the day when I first got into the game and everything. So that was really exciting. Plus, between this and then contrast paint being introduced in 8th edition relatively early into my experience with it, it just really got me hyped for being able to actually get these guys painted. And while I do want to paint these guys, my focus is definitely still going to be the Death Guard. I do, however, want to eventually paint one of these because I showed off recently on Instagram one of my very first, closest to finished minis, and he's not even based or anything. He has a very basic wash, but this is the only mini that I have a wash on it. And I want to do a comparison one day of painting up another Crimson Fist using the skills that I have now and do a comparison between this one. So we'll get to that eventually, but I think I have made some pretty good progress. I know the gray masses, or in this case, the green masses, because they like to use all those different colored plastics now, don't they? But the gray masses are something that all hobbyists struggle with, and these have been all of my unpainted armies. And honestly, talking and looking through these Space Marines has gotten me super nostalgic. I've loved looking through them.
You say all of your unpainted armies.
Well, yeah, okay, I've got
all of them.
Yeah, okay, I've got the Indominus boxes, okay, I do have those still. I do have that still a little bit to paint, but other than that, it's these guys, my Crimson Fists, and my Death Guard. That's it.
That's it, huh?
That's it.
Then what about this?
Oh yeah, okay, yes, I guess I have a bit more armies than just my Death Guard and Crimson Fists. Now, I'm not going to go into all of these cases. Obviously, Death Guard's still out here, my Crimson Fist still out here. I do have Blood Angels, we've got some Skaven Guard, I've got some Dark Elves, and some some Imperial Guardsmen as well. I'm pretty sure I have some Orcs in here somewhere as well. But if we're gonna go into those, we'll probably look at them in a separate video later because there's a lot, but it's everything.
Did you say all of your Warhammer?
I did say, this is all of my Warhammer armies. They're unpainted, they're in these boxes. I have a lot of work ahead of me, a lot more than I initially thought, because, I thought it was just the Crimson Fist.
And what of the Forsaken?
Oh. The Forsaken? Right. The Forsaken. Okay, so I might have also a bunch of things in boxes that are unassembled as well, but I can sort of explain that. I work at a game store, which I'm sure some of you may know from having watched this channel a bit, but one of the things that happened when I was working at this game store is my love for the hobby, as well as just miniatures in general, really boomed suddenly for me, because what happened was I was an art student. I went to art college. I was into hobby stuff at that time in college prior to that. But when I got out of it, things just ended up getting in the way and I sort of dipped out of the hobby for a really long time, which is why I sort of skipped a couple of editions and everything for 40k and didn't get back into it in 8th edition when I started working at the game store, because I was seeing all the new miniatures, I was hearing really good things about all the new rules, and I am a collector. So I started collecting the ones that I was really interested in. I thought the sculpts were beautiful. I loved them as just art pieces. And so I had all these plans to paint them and stuff. And for a long time, even after having worked at the game store, I didn't do that. But then quarantine hit and I was already getting into painting a little bit prior to that because contrast paint was really helping. And I wanted to start this channel as well. And I thought that this channel, along with my newfound love for the hobby, would just be a really great way to help motivate myself and potentially others to be able to paint their unpainted hoards of plastic, because I know we all tend to collect a lot of them because they come out with so many cool sculpts. But I've really been loving showing off all of these plastic things that I have unpainted. I've been loving being able to get into this hobby again and share it with you guys. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll be able to get all this painted soon. And that has been my pile of shame. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, make sure to like, share, and subscribe it. And it has been a pleasure sharing with you all of my unpainted miniatures.
Did you just say all of your unpainted miniatures? But what about your Dungeons and Dragons?